Thank you. Good morning. The topic of my discussion is transnational security challenges in South Asia. As we know that South Asia is rising as an important region in the global level, particularly the rising of India and China more important all over the world. So at the same time, the security threats are also increasing. Traditional security issues was once upon a time a huge challenge, but nowadays non-traditional security issues are emerging as a severe threat for the region of South Asia. But the transnational security challenges, those are particularly the states of South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. So there is a emerging transnational security challenges coming as a severe threat for the security of a region. So in this context, we would see that what types of transnational security issues are threatening the security of South Asia. And firstly, we would evaluate that what we mean by South Asia as a emerging region in terms of non-traditional security perspective and in terms of transnational security perspectives. Secondly, we would see what are the challenges to address these security issues of South Asia. And lastly, we would also try to find out some way outs to prevent the ongoing insecurities in South Asia. And lastly, we would conclude in some brief points. So as we know that South Asia is a region of 1.6 billion population. Historically and culturally, it was known that Indian subcontinent, and then after 1947, when India and Pakistan became independent from the control of the British colony, they started to imagine a nation states. But later, the emerging traditional security issues compelled them to find out a solutions in a regional framework. The first regional cooperation, we would say institutionally, it was in 1985, the establishment of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. But the colonial experiences and the post-colonial developments, particularly the demarcation of the boundary between India and Pakistan, emerged as a challenge for the region. However, in the age of globalization, as we know that transnational security issues are emerging as a severe challenge, and South Asia is not out of this problem. And in this context, the objectives of my presentation would be to understand the emerging security threats of South Asia in terms of transnational nature, and secondly, to recommend the way outs. Firstly, I would try to focus on what we mean by South Asia. Generally, when we call a regional identity, it is developed on based on four issues, that is geography, culture, economics, and geopolitics. So in terms of geography, if we see South Asia as South Asia's northern boundary, it is the Himalayan mountains, the Karakoram range, and the Hindu Kush mountains. And the eastern boundary, it is forests along the Myanmar, and the western boundaries, deserts and mountains. And southern boundary, Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean, and the Arabian Sea. It is geographically, we call it the South Asia. But culturally, if we see at the same time, South Asian countries have a historical link. Before the British came here, there was the Mughal Empire. So they tried to make South Asia in a same administrative framework. But at the same time, the historical migration of people from north to south part of the Indian subcontinent made the region culturally very close. And if we see in present context that the movies are very, particularly the Indian movies are very popular in all South Asian countries. Rather, the habit, the communication skill, and the behavior and social norms are same. At the same time, though, there is some difference of religious identity, if I say Hindu or Muslim, mostly dominating South Asia. But at the same time, when Islam came here, there is one types of they didn't always neglected the other religion, particularly the Hindu, Muslim. Both of them were in peace. They are living in peace for thousands of years. So we can say in terms of one types of cultural integrated identity is also there, and one of the important issue may be the economics, because the communication system and the transportation system and the boundary road link, if you take the Silk Road and then from Karakoram to the Myanmar, such kinds of communication was historically there. And at present also, if any South Asia comes in any disaster or any economic problem, all the countries have to face the problem in the same manner. This would be the third point, and the fourth point is the geopolitics, as it is said that if we see the security of South Asia, then if you take the case of Bangladesh, India and Pakistan and Myanmar and Sri Lanka, so we can see in general that the geopolitical boundary makes a compulsion for the countries of the region that they would not be able to go without the framework of South Asia, and they need say cooperation to deal the security issues, and at the same time any discontinuity of the relations among the countries of South Asia always penetrates the insecurity in the region. So without these 4 points, nowadays some of the regional identities developing basing on non-traditional security aspects, the issues like environmental issues, water management issues, and as well as we have seen that non-state actors in terms of terrorist organizations, the smuggler network and the human trafficking network is also in the same way in all the countries of the region. Moreover, we have seen recently that the civil society organizations, the media, the business groups are also coming together to promote an identity of South Asian regional identity. Hence, we can say that South Asia is a very getting more important in the international scenario as well as with a regional identity for addressing the security threats of the region. Now we can talk about that what are the non-traditional security threats in South Asia. We can focus here that generally in South Asia the problem was between India and Pakistan. We have seen a war, I would say 2-3 wars between India and Pakistan in 1948 as well as in 1971. At the same time, Indo-China, Sino-India war in 1962 was also very important for the region. But at the same time, when it is important that 3 of the countries of the region, Pakistan, India as well as China is also nuclear power. So there is a, we can say there is a very less threat of traditional security, though there is a threat of limited war as we have seen in 1992 in the Indo-Pak war. So we can say that in traditional terms there is a security threat of limited war, but in a wider term we can't see such a wider threat of traditional security, but mostly security threats are emerging in South Asia. The non-traditional security issues, those are transnational in nature. And why we are focusing on the issue? Because the issues, the transnational security challenges are emerging in such a way that the countries, if the countries fail to address the issues in a regional framework, within a regional security architecture, it would be difficult to address them. And the traditional security, transnational security threats are mostly the small arms and drug trafficking. As we know that it is very difficult to demarcate, to control the border between Bangladesh and India as well as India and Pakistan. And India and Nepal has open border for a long time. So it is very, and at the same time the people of the region are same in nature, and it is difficult to define that who is an Indian and who is a Bangladeshi or who is a Pakistani. So they can migrate very easily, and small arms became a major problem in the region. And as we know that India's red corridor, India's northeast India is facing problem to manage the small arms. On the other hand, if we see that if small arms or drug comes from other regions, it is very easier for the drug traffickers to transport it from one country to another country. And if India, Bangladesh and Pakistan do not go for a unity, if they fail to develop a unity to address the border security issues, the small arms and drug trafficking, it would be difficult for them to manage it. And second point is the illegal migration and human trafficking. And the migration from one country to one region to another region in South Asia, historically it was very common, but in recent times when it becomes in an illegal manner, it creates an instability for other country. And as you know, for the cause of national identity, they have some hidden feeling of nationality, and if it does not match always with the will of the people, then they want to create problem for other nation when they go to other countries. And there is a huge allegations from other countries, like from India for the migration from Bangladesh, and as well as from India is also giving allegation against Pakistan for infiltrating terrorists from Pakistan to India. And this illegal migration also causes for the cause of climate change, environmental degradation. So how to address these issues, and how to prevent these issues, or how they can accommodate with the issue, it comes as a challenge. And lastly, one of the major problem in region is resurgence and terrorism. As we know that Pakistan's Fatah region and the Pak-Afghan border, Indo-Pak border, these regions are facing challenges for terrorism. And in the northeastern part of India, and the resurgence groups are creating problem for India. Though India proved addressing the issues in a matured manner, but at the same time it remains a problem that how to solve the problem without regional framework. So the regional framework emerges as a very necessary issue to address the transnational security issues in terms of resurgence and terrorism. And one of the very common problem in the region, this is poverty, unemployment and food security. We know that historically this region was a colony, British colony, for more than 200 years. Poverty, unemployment and the threat to food security, challenge to food security is very common in the region of South Asia. And 1.6 billion population lives in the region, but most of them are living below majority of them living below the poverty lines. And though the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh and the government policies in other countries are trying to address the issue, but it is not always going in a proper manner. One of the main cause for other security threats may be the unemployment and food security. And if the region can't face the issue in a better manner, it would be difficult for them to address the other insecurities, other transnational insecurities. The largely another issue what is emerged in the region, that is the problem of climate change. As we know, the Bangladesh is going to face huge problem for the cause of climate change and natural disaster and water, and at the same time the water scarcity, the sharing of the water between Bangladesh and India, the sharing of the water between China and India, the sharing of the water between China, India, Nepal, Bangladesh is emerging challenge for the region. And when India and other countries want to make dams in the border, So it comes as a threat for other countries. Particularly the lower riparian countries are facing a problem from the dams relating water scarcity, for the cause of water scarcity. And lastly, we focused at the HIV/AIDS and other endemic diseases also spreading in South Asia. So how to address the issues of HIV and AIDS or other transnational diseases, and those for the cause of migration, it needs a regional framework. Okay. Okay, so now we can talk about that. What are the challenges the countries of South Asia is facing to address the insecurities, transnational securities in a regional framework? I would say one of the main cause may be that we have seen that South Asia failed to develop a regional framework, as we have seen that in case of another very close region of South Asia is Southeast Asia. They have developed a good framework. At the same time, we always refer to the European Union for the security frameworks. But though South Asia has established a SARC, but it is not working in a way as it is expected. So this fragile framework of creating problem to address the issue in a better manner. And secondly, though they have developed a framework like SARC or other forums for discussion, but the problem is that there is a discontinuity of relations between bilateral levels. As we see that Indo-Pak dialogue process, Indo-Pak composite dialogue, till since 2004 it is not working no more, and Bangladesh-India relations, once it comes very close, at the same time it goes in another way. So this bilateral relations has a discontinuity, so it is difficult to them to develop a regional framework. And lastly, I would say that historically we have seen that the social roots of South Asia, it is based on some in a way that the vested interest power elites are controlling the region, and the democratization is not so strong here, and the participation of people, though we have seen during the elections of Bangladesh, India and Pakistan, as well as in Sri Lanka, that huge people are participating in the election process, but in terms of democracy, the mainstreaming the marginalized people is very less in the region. So the vested interest groups are dominating the system, and it becomes difficult to address the issue in a regional framework, because when India and Pakistan goes to address the issue, people has a will of the region, but the power elites always always do not wish to go in that way, because it sometimes hamper their vested interest. I would say this 3 point is very important to address the transnational security. Important part of my presentation. As generally we see that we can propose a regional governance framework where not only the state actors, the non-state actors would be able to play a very important role, particularly the civil society organizations, the media, the business groups, the social movement groups, the awareness among the people, the youths can play a very important role. And recently in the month of November, when the social forum was held in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and so there is a huge enthusiasm among the youths of the region to promote a regional framework, and it has to come in a governance framework where the state actors need to consider the opinions of the non-state actors, and then the accommodation of the opinion of all the people would be able, and it would dismantle the ongoing discontinuity of the relations among the countries of South Asia. So people to people communication is very necessary, and it has to be in an institutional framework. the government machinery has to, the non-state actors has to make government machinery to develop a framework where the non-state actors also can in a better way. And one of the way may be to identify the priority issues for cooperation, particularly when we see that the transnational security issues, particularly if we take the issue of climate change, all of the countries are facing the problem. So if the countries can develop a framework where the state actors would be the main actor, but at the same time the non-state actors they can give the inputs in the governance framework. If we say that the people those are facing climate change problem, if they can say their problem to the state machinery, and a state machinery is compelled to develop the framework in that way. If it goes to Bangladesh and then if it comes to India and it goes to Pakistan, then the cooperation among the non-state actors can make a way out to address the transnational security issues. So it would be a very essential to develop a framework where the state and non-state actors can work together, and moreover beyond the state actors, non-state actors also can cooperate in South Asia for addressing the transnational issues. And so in my conclusion, I would say that though historically and culturally we have a South Asia feeling, but at the same time the vested interest of the elite class, the historical mistakes made a feeling that at the same time we are separate nation states, and sometimes the extra regional players played their important role to articulate their interest also. So awareness among the people we have seen in the last 10 or 20 years for the cause of emerging transnational insecurities. So we can hope that the identity of South Asia is emerging in a way that the feeling of South Asia is getting very relevance in the region as well as in the international arena. And the extra regional powers, if I say particularly the United States of America and the China also the observer in the South circle. So the stability and security of South Asia has come as important for the countries of the USA and China also. So we can say there is a hope for the security, developing a security framework in the region. And so we have to find out, firstly we have to identify the regional security threats, what we can address in a regional framework, and secondly the furthering regional networks, I would say regional connectivity in terms of transportation, in terms of communication, in terms of politically and cultural communication. It can forge a relationship among the people of the region. So it would lead the region towards a wider security, and it would be able to address the feeling of the people in all levels, and it can make a total security framework of South Asia and the transnational insecurity, the problems of transnational, if the region can address the transnational securities in a better way, it would lead them towards stability, and that would lead them towards cooperation in economic, trade and business areas. And South Asia also can be a developed area. The 1.6 billion population of the people needs to work together. The resources of South Asia, if the region can cooperate, they can use the resources in a better way, and it would must ensure the development and progress of the region. Thank you.